Hello there everyone and welcome. I am so very excited to be here for the first time ever on the craft store. As you can tell, I am with the fabulous Altenew brand and we're going to be creating some beautiful projects with you today. As you can see, we do have a special offer which you can see on the bottom of the screen, and if you do purchase something in this hour, you will be able to add that code in and then get a free 10mm blending brush, which is fabulous. I love the blending brushes that we do have. So if you do have any questions, please pop them in the comment box and one of my team will kindly scoot it over to me and I will be able to answer anything that you do have. So as you know, you will be kind of directed to our website to purchase any of the goodies that we are sharing with you today, but we do have lots more on the website as well. So I am going to move you guys down so we can take a look at the projects and we can also create them in real time. Now I have some fabulous things on the show today, but first up, let's take a look at the projects rather than the actual products that we will be using, because this is the main event, right? We want to make sure, we want to see what we're going to be able to create, and this is absolutely stunning. You can see here that we have this beautiful kind of pattern paper, which isn't actually pattern paper. In the background here, we also have this fabulous vintage bicycle and a sentiment on this card. We're going to be showing you how to create this fabulous kind of shading as well to kind of ground the image that we have. And then on the second project, we have these fabulous, I'm going to lift this up so you can see just how cool this is. We have these kind of textured, I'm going to call them jugs, but these are the picture vases that we have here. And again, that kind of pattern paper that we've cut off from here has made its way over to this project, but it's not patterned paper. It is in fact a stencil set. So that means if you love this look, you can create this again and again and again with all the colors inks that you have in your kind of crafty stash. So this is the Stencil Art Ditzy Flowers wallpaper. This is one of my favorite, I'm going to say one of my favorite stencil sets ever, because I just love pattern paper and I just love how this comes together. In here, you're actually going to get 7 stencils, and I'm going to show you how great these are in a sec, and you're going to be able to see how they go together. It's really easy to do. We also have a layering guide in the packaging. So you're not going to get this home and think, oh, how do I pop them together? You're not going to have to worry about them. We do have the layering guide. We also have some suggested inks in there, but just grab what you've got and create some beautiful effects. I did want to show you as well on here that we do have etching on these stencils. Now, the reason being we have the etching is what it's going to do, it's going to line up with the previously stenciled layer, and you're going to line that up and you're not going to have to worry about placement. It is fabulous. So before we kind of get in the other products, I'm thinking we kind of just go along and then show you product by product while we are creating. So I will just give you a quick peek of the other kind of 2 sets that we will be sharing. And this is the Tranquil Trail Build a Garden. In here, you're going to get the fabulous stamp set, which is 8x6. You're also going to get the simple coloring stencil set and a mini blending tool with that. So this is the mini blending tool that you get with that. And we also have another product available, well, that I'll be using in the hour. We have lots available, but the other one that I'm going to be using is the picture vases, and the 3D embossing folder comes with the dies, and then we also have the simple coloring stencil set as well. So let's grab some things and let's get creating. We are going to be using the stencil first. Reason being, it's going to take a little bit of time to kind of create it, but I love the fact that you're going to be able to do it again and again and again and you don't need to worry about kind of running out of it because it's a stencil. I have a piece of cardstock here, and this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and this is £80, so it's around about 120 GSM, and I'm gonna pop that down on my mat. Now you might be wondering how I've popped that down or why I'm even using a mat. So this in fact is a sticky mat. So this, as you can see, has stuck my cardstock into it. This is one of the tools that I never thought that I needed until I had it, and now this would be the first thing that I took if I had to go on a desert island and just take a couple of craft supplies. So what this is going to do is it's going to attach my cardstock, and it's also going to help me attach the stencils into place without having to use any tape. It's sticky, you can lift it up, but it doesn't get unsticky. So if it does get unsticky, what you're going to have to do is just clean it off with maybe a baby wipe or a damp cloth, let it dry, and it'll be sticky again. So I have my stencil here, and I'm going to go in with stencil number 1. We also have the name of the stencil on here, and I'm just going to add that. So I have some of the edge right around my piece of cardstock. So that means that that stencil is now stuck as well. So I have the stencil stuck on top of that. Okay, I'm going to grab my guide. You can pop that over to the side, and that's just going to give me a look at, you know, what goes where. So it's suggesting that I use some yellow, some different colours for these ones. So I'm going to kind of go with that. I have a Peachy Glow, and this is from the Sun-Kissed Delights, and this is a very light yellowy orange colour that we have. And we also have a number of blending tools that I will be using. Now this is our mini blending tool. You do get one free, well not free, but included in the Build a Garden, but you can also purchase these in packs of 4 as well. So I will be using these all the way through the demonstration today. And I am just gonna add some ink onto my blending brush and just blend that through the stencil part right at the top. So I've just added that through. With stenciling, you want to use a light hand. You don't want to add too much ink, because if you do, it'll kind of splodge through the stencil, and that's not the look that we are going through. So that one is the Peachy Glow. I'm then going to use blue or tealy colour for these images here, and I have the Mint Chalk, and this is from the Aqua Island. So with our ink families, I'll just bring one ink family in so I can kind of show you how it works. So with ink families, what happens is we have 4 different inks, all of the same kind of color shade, but in different color tone, but in different shades. So it goes from light to dark. This means that we can use these colors to layer up an image to create lots of depth and dimension. So that is the Aqua Island ink family. From the Sun-Kissed Delight, the Peachy Glow, this is the color family that we have with that. So that's the Sun-Kissed Delight. So I'm going to go in with the Mint Chalk from the Aqua Island, and I have to say that tealy colors have my heart. These are my favorite go-tos, and especially this new set that we have. We do have another teal set, but this one is very, very pretty. I love that this one has a really light, but then it also has a really dark color. So that teal tempest that you can see there is just stunning. So again, I'm just going in with the Mint Chalk. I'm using another blending tool here and just adding that ink through the stencil. If you do have any questions, please, just pop them in the chat, and hopefully I will be able to help you out with them. So remember, all of these products are available from our website. We are located in the upstate New York area. So It may take a little extra time for you to get your goodies, but you are going to get them and they are going to be fabulous. Remember, if you do use that code, so you're going to need to pop that code that we have in the bottom of the screen, and you're just going to add that into the code box when you do the checkout, so you are able to get a free blending tool as well, which is really cool because these blending brushes are amazing. I don't have one here that is not used, but when you get the blending brushes, these are bright white. So that means when you have used an ink with them, you're going to be able to see the exact color that you have on that. I'm just going to bring in what I have. I know I've gone a little bit excessive, but you do get these blending brushes in packs of 4 and they will be bright white. So you're going to be able to get lots. And I didn't realize how many I had until I put them in my storage. But I don't regret any of them. They all have their own color on them, so I am happy that I do have them all. Right, so that one is the mint chalk. So what we're going to do now is we're going to remove that stencil, and I find the easiest way is to kind of get some tweezers under there and just pull that off. And you can see that we have the image starting to form on there, but this is only going to get better and better. And I'm going to move on to number 2. And like I said, this has the etching on. It has etching around these flowers and the flowers that we've just done. And all you're going to do is just line that up so you can see through the stencil, and you're going to line up the pieces that have just been stenciled with the etching that we have on this stencil. And then I'm just going to push around the edges, stick that onto my sticky mat, and then we're going to move on to the second layer. So for my second layer, I'm going to go up the colour family in the Aqua Island, so that is going to be Pool. Just grab a little tool and go through for the second layer on these flowers. So everything that I've used previously with the mint chalk, I'm going to add the second layer with the Pool colour. Just adding that through. Doesn't take as much time as you think. Okay, so that is the Pool. Just pop that over there. I'm then going to add the second layer to the yellow. So it was Peachy Glow first, now it's Golden Honeycomb. And the name for this colour family is the Sun Kissed Delights. And as you can see, these inks, I haven't mentioned it, but they are fabulous. They come in this very ergonomic ink system. It's the ink pad. And instead of kind of lifting the top off, it doesn't. You have to twist. So it's a half a twist, and that is gonna make sure that that lid is secure. But it also means that if you have dexterity problems, this really helps. So if you liked to craft with one hand, what I would suggest is you get these ink pads, you get your sticky mat, you add the ink pad half on to the sticky mat, because if you add it on fully, it sticks on there really, really well. And then you just twist. And that goes to show that you could just do this with one hand. I'm not holding that stencil down, reason being it's stuck with the sticky mat. I'm not holding the ink because it's stuck down with the sticky mat, but I'm just using one hand to ink up. And it just really is a game changer if you do struggle with using both hands when crafting. So that was the Golden Honeycomb. We're then going to grab my tweezers again and remove the second stencil. We're now going to move on to stencil number 3, and we're going to add that into place. So we're just lining up those images with the images underneath, sticking that down on the edges again, and then we're going to go in with this, which is a different colour this time around, and we're going to go in with some pinks. And this is the Blush Berry Bliss collection. In here we have the strawberry, the dusty pink, blush rose, and the raspberry sundae. I'm in fact not going to be using the strawberry this time around, and I'm just going to go straight in with Dusty Pink. Again, I'm going to add that to my mat, stick that down, and then remove the ink top really quickly and easily. Another mini blending tool here, and I'm just going to add the ink through this stencil as well. So we are in fact on stencil number 3 at the minute, but this stencil set has 7. So it's a really great one for adding tons of different colours to, just in one go. So if you wanted to, all of these different kind of flower clusters that we have going on here could be various different colours. It would be cool to do it like a hydrangea, so it goes from like pinks and purples and blues. That would be very pretty. So we have some buds there. We also have some more yellow flowers on the side. I'm going to go back in with the peachy glow for those ones. So just add those in and the ones at the bottom. Okay. Just check, see if I have any questions. Oh, it doesn't look like we do at the minute, so that's fine. Okay. So that is the peachy glow, and we've used the Dusty Pink for the pink flowers. Screw the top back on there. And then we can remove that stencil. Next one is stencil number 4. So again, we have the etching on it there. And just line up all of those flowers with the ones that we've just done. I didn't get that placed perfectly, but I can give that a little bit wiggle. And because we haven't used tape, we're not kind of wasting any, we're just sticking that down. Again, I'm going to go blush rose in the second layer for the flowers. Again, this one is from the Blush Berry Bliss ink family, or ink collection, whichever one where you would like to say it. So that's the blush rose. We then have a second layer coming up for these yellow flowers at the bottom. I'm going to use the same as we did for the top part, so we're going to be using the golden honeycomb and a mini blending brush. Okay. So even though we're thinking, oh, 7 stencils, that's going to take a while. I mean, it's not going to take too long. I also love seeing the reveal after each layer of the stencil. Oh, we do have another layer for these teal flowers. I'm going to go in with Mystic Lake for that one. I nearly forgot about them. Sorry, little teal flowers. It's such a beautiful colour, and the ink is so, it's not buttery, but it has a kind of viscosity to it. So it means that it stays a little bit wetter for longer, so it's easier to blend with. It's not going to grab as much with the cardstock. So that is our 4th layer. We're going to go on to stencil number 5. Now, we're going to line up the flowers that we've just done, and the other kind of images are going to go in between. So we're on a leaf layer right now. Okay, so for my greens, I have the Jade Dreams, and I'm going to start with the second in this colour family, and that is the Misty Sage. This is a very pretty green colour. It is, I'm going to say it's quite earthy. It's a little bit neutral. We have tons of greens on the website if you did want to go for a different shade, but I am loving this colour at the minute. It's one of my favourite green combos that we have. So that is the Jade Dreams. I have a second layer in those flowers, but I do have leaves to add around, so I'm just going to add those leaves. This blending tool will have enough of that Mystic Lake on to add the centers into those. And then the rest is just leaf. So the only kind of second layer or colour layer that we had on here was just those two flowers at the top. Now with our stencils, we try and pack in as much as we can to the stencil, but we also want it to be so that you don't have to move things around too much. So as you can see, all of the stencils that I've added have just been a one place down, but you can use smaller blending tools to add different colours to the various different portions of the stencil. You could also just use a large blending brush and go over the entire piece if you wanted all of your flowers to be the same colour as well. So there's lots of different kind of ways that you can use it. Right, so that is the Misty Sage. Oops, missed a little leaf. I'm sure we wouldn't have noticed, but I noticed him then, so I just made sure he was covered. I'm just going to remove this. You can see just how this is kind of coming together. I, in fact, think that this, just as it is really, really pretty. So you could definitely stop there, but we do have other layers. So we're not going to stop. We're going to go all in this time. And I am lining up the layers. I am sorry if you get to see my silver highlights. They do need doing. But I just didn't have time. All right, so let's line that one up. And we're going to add in this one, which is stencil number 6. Now, I do have some other layers here. So I'm going to go in with Teal Tempest into those and these flower centers that we have over here. And this is from the Aqua Island. I did forget to share that one about this color. Okay, so that is the Teal Tempest down. We also have some yellow that we need to add down. So this is from the Sun-Kissed Delights, and this is the Amber Blaze. So I'm just going to add those flower centers. There's a couple down this side too. And then we also have some pink to add. And I'm going to grab out the Raspberry Sunset, which is probably one of the nicest names for an ink I have ever heard. And I am just going to add that through. And this is such a luscious kind of raspberry colour. So that is that down there. Okay, I think we may have had a question. No, I think we're good. All right, just remember, if we do have a question, I'm here ready and raring to answer it. Next up, we're going to go with the Mossy Meadow. Now, this is the third in the Jade Dreams ink collection, and we're just going to add this through the stencil. This is going to add a second layer to some of the leaves, but it's also going to add a first layer to other leaves. So this is kind of dual purpose. I have gone over a little bit with some of those kind of flower center colours, so it may not look as clean this time. I do have a spare one over to the side, but I think we should be fine. You know, we all make a little bit of a mistake every now and again. And it might just add a different touch to the leaves themselves, because we know leaves are perfectly imperfect. Sometimes they have red tips on them. You can get aces that are red, so I'm not going to worry too much. And I always say that if you're worrying when you're crafting, you're not doing it correctly, because we craft to kind of relax and take ourselves away from other things, so just breathe and everything's going to be fine. Okay, so that is our 6th layer, and just look how pretty that is. But we have one last layer here to complete this. Now, like I said, I could very happily leave it as 6 layers, but we have 7 layers here. let's go for it. And let's go for the last colour that we have in the Jade Dreams, and this is the green opal. This is a very decadent green colour that we have here. Again, using a mini blending tool to add in this last layer that we have. Okay. Sorry that I've gone quiet. It's become like a little meditation with the stenciling. I do think it's very relaxing that you can create this without that much effort. I'm just literally lining up some images that are on a stencil and then just ink blending through. It's so easy. I have created quite a bit of mess on here, so I'm going to move some things over so we can use more of the table. But there we go, and just look how stunning. Okay, we may have made a little bit of mistake on some of the leaves. They may have a either reddish tinge to them, which is over here, or maybe a more bluish tinge over here, but that has to be one of my favorite stencil sets that I have. It is so pretty and it just works so well. So that is our panel that we're going to be using on both of the cards. So now we just need to create the other elements that we're going to use on our cards. So to create the stamped element for the bike, I am going to bring in my stamp wheel. This is such a fabulous tool. We can use it to kind of create wreaths by moving this around. Because this doesn't have magnets in it as well, a lot more people can use this kind of stamp platform rather than one that has magnets in. So if you don't use one because you are scared of the magnets, this one doesn't have it. It has that sticky mat in that I have been using with the stencil. So you're still going to be able to get the precision with it, but no magnets are needed to use this. All right, so let's create our bicycle. So I have another piece of cardstock. This is the same cardstock that I used before. It's just a white 80-pound cardstock. And I'm going to be using the Build a Garden Tranquil Trail. And this is the fabulous vintage bicycle that we have. And that is what we're going to be using. Now this set does have a large floral image in here as well. We could have used that. We also have some stencils that are going to enable you to colour in these images, which we will be using for the bike. I am in fact going to do the sentiment at the same time because I want one. So I'm going to pop that up there and I'm going to add the lid on top, and what that's going to do is that's going to grab the stamps, I'm going to twist it over, and then we can ink the images. I'm just going to be using a jet black ink. Again, we have this on the website. If you did want to buy the full kind of ink collection with this one, it's under the green fields. This one isn't actually on the show list, but it is still there. So I'm just inking up the piece. I'm going to flip that over and then press that down. Give it a good old squidge. I do feel like I'm a little bit too hard on my stamps, but they're fine. So that one does have some very light edges, so I'm just going to ink it again. And because the cardstock is stuck down with the sticky mat and the stamp is in the same place as before, you're going to be able to do this. So if you stamped a sentiment and it didn't kind of all stamp, don't worry, you're going to be able to do it again with the stamp wheel. There we go. So there we go. We have our crisp image there. We also have our sentiment stamped at the same time. I'm just going to move that over. And we're going to be able to add colour to this. I'm just going to remove this. I do find that I tend to work better when I use my mat out of the stamp wheel, but you can leave it in the stamp wheel and do your stenciling like that if you wanted to. So on the stencil set, we have the kind of stencils on the back, but inside the stamp set, which we just used, we also have the layering guide for the flower and also the bike. So as that's all one kit, you do have all of that information in there as well. So I am going to need stencil number 6. And let's add a little bit of colour. So I'm just going to line the image up, and you're going to be able to kind of see how it goes. So this is going to colour in the bike frame, the crossbar, and also the tyre this time around. For the greys, I have the rock collection, and I'm going to go in with Silverstone. Just going to grab another blending tool and just add some grey through. And because I do have a bike like this, I am going to colour it the same as the one that I have outside. So I'm going to go in with the pool, just through the stencil, and it just amazes me now how quickly you can get a stamped image, add colour to it, and then have a perfectly presentable piece. Because obviously when we all first started stamping, it was literally an outline, and then we'd have to get off colouring tools out and add colour to the image with markers or pencils. I'm going to go in with the industrial diamond, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. You can definitely add colour with these stencils and it is going to look amazing. So that was industrial diamond. I coloured the seat and also the handlebars with that. I'm then going to grab my pool again. I'm going to add the same colour to the handles and these pieces of the bike. Mudguards, and I don't know what that bit is. I'm not someone that knows the anatomy of a bike, so I think I was doing pretty well up until that point. And then we're just gonna add in this part. So this is gonna add in the pedal. And then again with the pool. And I'm going to colour that tyre in with the Silverstone from before. Okay. So we also have a bike basket on there, and we do have the melted butterscotch from the Sun-Kissed Dream, so I'm going to be using that as my brown. Just adding that through. And then we also have, two more little pieces on this stencil. It's fabulous, isn't it? It's so, so cool. We have the kind of basket bottom and top, or top and bottom, and then also the chain cover. Adding the pool through there. I didn't add any more ink, so that's going to be lighter. What I'm going to do for the basket, because I want this to be darker, I'm going to add the melted butterscotch through first, and then to give the shadow effect, I'm in fact going to use some Silverstone over the top. So we can change the colours of these inks by just layering them up. They are semi-translucent-y, so you can kind of layer to create that look. We also have the little bell. I just love the detail that we have with this stencil. And there we go. So there we have our fabulous little bike, all coloured. I'm just going to lift this up so you can see the kind of detail that you get with this, but look how cute that is. So that's our little bike. We also have the sentiment, which we're gonna add to our first card. So let's die cut this out. I'm gonna move some things over because things are just getting a little bit wayward over here. Okay. All right, so I do want to pop this through my mini blossom. Now the mini blossom is our small die cutting machine. So if you have smaller dies or you don't have too much room to have a big die cutting machine, or you take this on maybe some caravanning holidays or where you travel, this is, I'm not going to say it's super lightweight. I would say it's probably the weight of a big bag of sugar, but it does mean that it's sturdy. It's nice and sturdy. It does have some kind of non-slip feet on here, and it has this beautiful Altenew branded design. And this is a fabulous little machine. So I am going to grab my plates. You do get plates with the machine. As an extra, you can get this metal shim. Now this makes the cutting of this so crisp and so perfect. So I am going to be using that, and I'm just going to be using 2 plates. So you have a thicker plate, which I always use to kind of cut into, and then we have a top plate as well. I lost my clean top plate, so I am sorry everyone. You can buy extras if you want. So I'm just going to add my little bike on there. And on the website as well, we do have the Tranquil Trail add-on die set. So if you want to be able to cut out all of the images from the Build a Garden Tranquil Trail, you can get this, and you're going to be able to cut out the bike really quickly and easily, the huge beautiful blossom branch, and also the large sentiments from the set. So I'm going to grab out the bike, and then also, oops, come on. It's not just me that talks to dies, everyone does it, I think. And then we're also going to get that, which is going to cut out the sentiment. So because I don't use too much tape when kind of attaching my stencils down because of my fabulous sticky mat, I do use a touch of tape when I die cut because I don't want things to move around. Now this is the best tape that I found, and we tested so many tapes, and this is the Altenew satin masking tape, and this is fabulous for adhering down your dies, for creating masks on your cards to then kind of mask around or add colour to, and then peel it off, and it creates a very, very great look. So I'm just going to add that on. I'm then going to take my metal shim. Remember this, you can get this as an add-on. And when I add the metal shim on, I add it away from the edge of the plate. Reason being, it's like the thin edge of a wedge. You want to be able to get this through your die cutting machine without it getting jammed. And just pulling that back from the edge really does help everything go through super smoothly. And as you can see, I'm not really expending that much effort to roll this through. Another great thing about a small die cutting machine and the small plates is that you don't have to crank through a whole A4 piece to cut out a tiny, tiny piece like this. But look how cute that is. So we have our fabulous little bicycle die cut. So I'm just going to move that over. And I am going to cut out that sentiment as well. Okay. Grab that down and add a little bit of tape to that, and then push that through. Again, I've moved that plate back from the edge of the plate so it will go through smoothly. Okay, and then I think we're going to be able to pop our first card together. All right, so oops, there's the sentiment, Lydia. Move my things over. We are going to be needing that again because I want to show you this really great shading technique. Now I forgot to have my cutting machine out, so I am sorry. And okay, let's just cut off a bit that we can use on the other card. So it's gonna be creating like, oops, sorry, I'm not in frame, but I wanted to create like a tablecloth effect. So I'm just gonna do around about an inch and a quarter and chop that off, and that's what we're gonna use. So this is gonna be our background on the first card. So I have a card here, and I'm going to attach this piece to my card base with just a glue runner. Now we have these in the store. They come with one kind of glue dispenser and 3 refills. This is my favorite glue. Just going to line that up along the edge of the card. The card itself is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm going to add a little bit of, I mean, we do have those pieces in there, which I can kind of push out. But I know I'm getting a little bit close on time, so I want to make sure that I'm going to get the other card done. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some foam tape. I'm not going to go as liberal as I normally would, where I just kind of just add loads down. Just want to make sure that we're going to get it stuck. So if I wasn't creating live, I would definitely stick some more tape down on that. Okay. So just removing the back. We do have this tape in the store. This is our Instant Dimension foam tape. You can see that it has that beautiful kind of release tape, which I never want to get rid of, but I find everywhere. Okay, and then we're gonna add our little bike down. All right, so if I was to give the card like that, it kind of does look like my little bike is floating in midair. That is not the look I want. You can see on this one, we haven't got that. We've got kind of a grounding element with the shadows that we can see there. So to create that, we have some monochrome shading pencils, and I'm just going to grab one out. These are all different kind of hardnesses, and I'm just going to scribble under that tire. Just a little scribble, and then another scribble under there. Okay, and then still, it doesn't look that great, okay? I've created some shadow. I've created a little bit of grounding, but not to the extent that we have the grounding over here. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm just going to grab some tissue, fold it up, okay, twist it, lift my tire up a little bit, and I'm just going to rub that in, okay? And that is it. A little bit of a rub on that is going to give you that fabulous grounding effect that you can see there. And then just adding a little bit of tape to that. Ride more, worry less, and that is our first project complete. Okay, we have about 10 minutes to get the next one done. I don't even think we're going to need that. We're going to be able to create this in 10 minutes. All right, so what I'm going to do with our little race against time is I am going to cut this panel down to around about 3 inches. Reason being, my mini blossom takes 3 inches through the mouth. So I've cut that down. I'm then going to grab my fabulous picture vases, and we have the dies and the 3D embossing folder in the packet. So I'm just going to grab out the dies, place them. I don't need to tape these down because if they do shift a little, I'm not going to worry too much because as long as they're all cut, I'm good to go. I'm going to grab my mini blossom, bring him in, and then run that through. Okay. So, oh, I forgot to put my thing down. Ugh, okay, don't worry everyone, we'll do that again. So I'm just going to place that back into position. Okay, I forgot to add this on so it cut nice and crisp. And then my top plate. Okay, run that through. I love that little click that you hear, that you know that that's cut now. Okay, so I now have my 2 images nicely die cut, but on the sample that I shown before, it was so pretty because we had this beautiful texture on there. We're now going to add that on. So I'm going to grab our 3D embossing folder. For this, you are going to need to die cut the images first. Okay, so you may be questioning me, why didn't you do the embossing folder and then add the dies around? Reason being, if I'd have done it that way, the dies would have squished down the beautiful texture that we got on them. So the way that you need to do it is die cut them first, then add them to the embossing folder, and then add the embossed details. So I find it easier to open this up and line up the images on the front side of the embossing folder, just making sure that it's in the lines, then add a bit of tape. You don't want that to move. Do the same for this top one. Pop that in. Make sure it's beautifully lined up in there. Again, add a little tape. Come on. There we go. And then we're going to run that through our die cutting machine. So I have my plate, bottom plate, top plate, and I'm just going to run that through. Come on. Ah, needed a little bit more gap on that. There we go. See, now normally this would be fine. Okay, let's do that and that and that. There we go. So I've used 2 top plates and the metal shim. Still. Alright, I'm going to try something else. I did figure this out. There we go. I don't think that's correct. Just panicking because I wanted to get it done so quickly. Alright, okay. So, I've gone through with this, with the bottom plate and just the embossing folder, but I definitely would have got more texture if I'd have got it through the way that I was trying to do it the first time, because that's how I normally do it. But we have some texture on these, and then I'm going to go for it. Okay, so I'm going to take the tape off that, and then this is going to be another kind of moment where the sticky mat comes into its own again, because one of my favorite things with the sticky mat is that I can color in or add ink to smaller elements without getting my fingers dirty. Because it kind of holds things down, you can literally add color to this. Let's go in with some, let's go in with the pool, but go really lightly. And you don't need to worry about getting your fingers dirty. Now I do have a layer on here for this, so I will kind of bring that in now so I don't go over that floral element that we have. Just gonna hold that down just to add that in. Okay. So there is some blue on the vase. I can now move this over, so we're going to add the handle and that bottom piece. So this needs to be darker because it's going to have a little bit more shadow on. Okay, so we've added that in with the pool again from the Aqua Island. I'm using the Picture Vases Simple Colouring Stencil at the minute. I may have forgot to mention that. Sorry everyone. I'm then gonna, oops, line up the kind of green areas that are gonna be on the vase I am going to grab out the Mossy Meadow and a green, well, a blending tool that has green on it. Okay. We also have the flower that I missed. That's fine, we can bring that down again. Add the flower in with a blending tool that I already have pink on from the Blushberry Bliss, but there we go. Just look how cool and quick that was to add texture and different colours to that vase. We also have this one that looks like a very old-fashioned milk jug. Let's go with some pink. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with Blush Rose. Just add that around the side. And then we also have the handle that we can add more colour to. And there is our second picture. So now we just need to pop all of our elements together. Just checking to see if I do have any questions. Okay, because we are nearing the end. This hour has gone so quickly. Okay, so I'm gonna need another card. So this is just a white card base. We have our fabulous piece of faux patterned paper from B4, my glue tape. Let's glue that on. Just pop that down the bottom to look like a tablecloth. We then also have our two vases or vases. I never know which one is the correct way to pronounce it. Whichever way I use it, my husband always says I'm wrong, and I don't know. I don't know. So we're just going to pop these into place. We're going to have one behind, one in front. Again, we want to add some shadow to these and make them so they're not floating. So we're going to grab one of the monochrome pencils again, scribble just under. I will lift that up so you can see. I've scribbled just under those vases. Grab that tissue from before. It doesn't have to be a fresh piece. Grab that up a little bit. Give it a rub. There we go. And that's added our grounding element there. And then last but not least, what we're going to need to do is grab a sentiment. So I'm going back to the Tranquil Trails. We have this hello. Just a little bit of black ink, whichever black ink you have. I'm just going to stamp that into position over onto the side. So we have created two clean and simple cards today with some of the most fabulous products that we have listed. I am loving these cards so much. I don't believe that we have any questions. Okay, that's fine. What we can do is then move up. Alright, so thank you so much for spending this hour with me, everyone. It has been a pleasure. Remember, if you do make a purchase today over on our website, which is altenew.com, you are able to get a free blending brush with your purchase. So these are the cards that you would be able to create if you did go for everything in this hour, and I hope that you at least are inspired to go and grab your own supplies and get crafting today. Thank you so much, everyone. It has been a pleasure, and I hope to see you very soon. Bye bye.